Recording in progress.
Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Nice to see you with power there.
Oh, thanks. I'll now shift the camera to the board.
Hi, guys.
How we doing?
For to see who's there. Happy holidays, all of you.
Happy holidays.
Is Zach going to be joining us remotely, or is he just not able to make it because he's flying?
He won't be able to make it at all.
Okay.
And then cable whenever you're ready.
You guys are fine.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Greg Logan, Vice Chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Today is Monday, December 18, 2023. This is the Dayton Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting and public hearing. It's being held at the Old Town Hall at 1111 Somerset Ave, Dayton, Mass. 02715. You can also watch Zoom meeting information, a meeting ID 744-646-2815 with the passcode of 651342. You can also be called, call in for a phone call at area code 305-224-1968. And this is, I'm going to call to order the meeting. And do we want to set, that'll be the second one. So we're going to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to confirm the next meeting date. We have it set at Tuesday, January 23rd at 2024. Is there anybody that can't make that meeting?
Works for me.
Works for everyone here?
Works for me.
Okay, confirmed. Meeting will be held January 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Business public hearing. Mark Mason, 2098 Winthrop Street, map 1, lot 57, special permit application. This will be the review and discuss. It's yours.
You want to go or you want me to go?
Oh, you can go. Mark Mason, the owner.
John D'Souza, North County Group. So I brought some mapping for you, the folks today. There's a total of, I believe, 4 sheets. So the first sheet says the neighborhood aerial map for 2021. So the subject property is in the lower middle of the map. So as you can see, the subject property is here, and then you can see all the wooded area on the backside. Then you can see the fronting houses on Winthrop Street, and then you see Chestnut Street here, and then you see these 3 houses right in up particular on the backside. So if you look, they got beautiful manicured lawns all in the back. One of them's got a nice pool in the back, and it looks pretty almost flat and level on the backside. So if you flip to the next sheet, so this is a topo map of the area. So as you can see, the garage is sitting here, the house that's going to be raised is right here, and the house that the duplex is going in, it's right almost where the garage is, right over on this side. So you can see from this map, there's an elevation contour, basically 150. That's the a darker orange going right through the middle of the lot, and it goes up from there. So if you look at the neighboring piece of property, up on the back side here, their back corner is about elevation 200. So there's a 50-foot drop from that corner to where the house is going. So when you're out there on the back side, if you remember the early photographs from one of the neighbors, they showed you and you could see the hills up on the trees. Well, that's what this is, right up in here. So if you look on here, like, this is the house with a pool. So these front lots here, they excavated about 17 feet on the property. That's what created that hill on the backside. So these houses, they brought down the land all in the back, about 17 feet more or less, to get their yards flat. So then if you flip to the next map, and you'll see that this portion of red, this is where there's the outcroppings, bedrock ledge outcroppings. And there's the pool with a house, there's the next house, and there's the other house. Here's our property. So the big ledge area is back here on the backside where the hill is, where they excavated all the material. You flip over to the next sheet. So this is our soils, our probability map. So everything in green is associated perkable land. The light yellowish green that means that the perks in there are 60 minutes or over. Usually if there's a house already on one of those properties, that means that if there's a repair, they just let the perk go until they get something. Usually up to 60 minutes. If you reach 60 minutes and you still haven't perked in those areas, you have to do what's known as a tight tank. That means you have no leach field. You put in a 5,000 gallon tank in the ground and you have it pumped for every 2 weeks to 1 month. That's what that means. The green is the perkable area. Our lot's right here. So we have a perk rate, according to this, somewhere between 4 to 20 minutes an inch. So, as you can see, with us going to put the new house, basically almost where the garage is that's out there right now, we're about in the middle of the lot. We do not anticipate any ledge out here. We got plenty of room up in the front for our septic system. And the contours, we're gonna grade the contours so that way our rainwater will not overflow onto any of the abutting properties.
Did everybody have all these copies of our schematic of the houses, the house that we're proposing? And there's a couple other things, a couple letters and invoices and stuff like that. And then we also have that sketch of where we propose the leach field that you attach. I think it's an 8x11 as well, because that's what we wanted to. That's what you guys were requesting as well. I'll make sure you guys got that.
That's this one, right?
Yep. Yeah, do you guys have any questions at all?
Yeah, oh yeah, yes. I'm gonna open it up to some of the board members first. If any of them have any questions they would like to ask them at this time, you can. If not, I have a few questions.
I'd like to listen first.
Would you like to listen? Dave?
Wait, I'm sorry, would you like me to read the,
Oh,
building
yes, let's read.
commissioners?
Yes, please. So we got some letters from Jim Aguirre, Fire Chief, and should I read in what I was talking to about the water department as well?
I would hang on that one
Okay.
because that's not in the record yet. Just bear with me for 1 minute. So the first item I have is an email from the fire chief, Chris McGee, dated December 5th at 2023 at 8:55 a.m. The department has no concerns with the driveways or the driveway's location as they relate to the location of the fire hydrant.
Okay.
That's into record, and then building commissioner, Jim Aguirre, he's also a health agent. I'm sorry? You should.
Should be in the record, the booklet she gave you. Right there.
Okay. Jim states, he sent an email Monday, December 18th, 2023 at 3:33 afternoon. Unfortunately, I cannot make your meeting tomorrow evening. It's supposed to be tonight. As I understand, there is a property on the agenda seeking relief to construct a duplex or two-family on the existing property that contains a single-family home, and I offer the following comments. From a building perspective, if the existing driveway is to be altered, has approval been obtained by Mass DOT? This property is located in an area of Route 44 that is subject to numerous auto crashes, most of them that are related to vehicle versus building scenarios. I am uncertain how Mass DOT will respond to a driveway or curb cut modification or widening in this area. Additionally, the existing fire hydrant is very close to the existing driveway opening. The fire department would need to be queried about the hydrant's location and the new driveway, traffic and/or new configuration created by a multifamily. Although zoning relief is always first, how many bedrooms are proposed for the end use of the property? Building code does not restrict bedroom counts so long as the code is followed, but providing adequate sewage disposal is a condition of a building permit approval. So from a health perspective, this property is listed as a 3-bedroom. It is unlikely that this bedroom count will suffice the new proposal. If the bedroom counts are increased, then this septic design will be considered an upgrade and subject to the provisions of new construction. Therefore, nitrogen loading restrictions and other rules will need to be followed. Additionally, this property will not be allowed to propose any waivers or variances in a new septic design. Ledge and other site appurtenances may restrict designing a compliant septic system for an increase in sewage flow created by more than 3 bedrooms. I hope this information assists the board when considering the relief required for this property. Jim Aguirre, Building Commissioner and Health Director. I think, let me double check. I think that's it. Yes, that is all I have to be read into record.
And we'll be following all those wishes as
So
well.
you're putting a whole new septic system in regardless?
Yeah.
Regardless, we're gonna have to go with approval from Board of Health.
Okay. Dave, you have anything?
No, I'm just absorbing this email right now.
Jonathan?
Probably will, but not yet.
Leaves it up to me.
Somebody's gotta start.
All right, I'm gonna start with a few things. So, the topography, I just wanna make sure a couple things here. The topography of the land where the house is going to be built is approximately 19 feet higher than the street, if I'm not correct, if I'm incorrect.
No.
That's what it shows on what you sent. So the street elevation shows at 160. Let me find it. It's on this one. Street is 168, am I correct?
The street where the driveway is coming out is gonna be,
Okay, and then.
where the house is going right now, those are 1-foot contours.
Yeah, but if you look at the vein that lines across, it's in the 176 area. If you wanna take a look here. So I'm just making sure I got this correct. So, we're here.
Yeah, we're right
The street line shows that approximately in that area, correct?
So the driveway is right here.
Yeah.
Right here is that's 150.
150, and where's the proposed elevation of bottom of the foundation, top of foundation?
The top of foundation is gonna be about 155.
So we're gonna have 5 feet right now, because I drove by that property, and it goes from like here to the top of the wall.
Yeah, so,
It's quite high now.
well, you have 155 for the top of foundation, but you need 2-foot exposure. Of
course.
So your ground is 3 feet higher than your street.
Okay, so you're saying from the front of the home
To the street,
to the street, you're gonna have, what's the flow?
3 feet.
3 feet, and that's how much per foot?
that percent comes out to about 1.5%.
5, okay? And topography on that, so that pretty much equals from a butter to a butter. Does it go downhill? Obviously, there's a hill at the road, so
Yeah,
it's
it-
downhill to the other.
Yeah, it keeps actually going downhill still. 'Cause
And what are we proposing to do to the left of the house to maintain a swale from going any kind of water runoff into?
So when we build a yard and on the grading that shows on the septic system that we're gonna do, we're gonna have a yard, and in that yard, we're gonna create a swale to contain the water with a berm on the other side so it doesn't go over it.
Okay, so you're gonna do a swale along that property line?
Yeah, a
And
bermed
the
swale.
flow from the driveway going down to the street, there's also gonna be a swale, a riprap of some sort by the
Yeah,
road?
and what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to get as, any overflow to go out to the driveway and out.
Okay, onto 44?
So we're looking to hold like basically a 100-year storm event.
Sure.
But, you know, sometimes you get more than 8 inches of rain.
So you submitted this into this application in regards to the ledge with the red is, correct?
Yes.
So the pictures of the house show ledge in the basement. That's not on here as anywhere to be located on the property.
Right, so the existing house that's there was a no crop that was built into the.
So this is kind of like a generic, just give you a basic idea.
Yeah, it gives you basically where the big stuff is, not
Okay.
the little stuff.
Okay,
Yes.
so the house that's gonna be raised, that stone's not really gonna be an issue for you?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So you said you're gonna get a perk on the property, you haven't perked it yet, obviously, correct?
Right.
Not an official perk, no.
Yeah, right, you're just going by what the values of the grade study shows. House looks beautiful, I like it. Yeah. So, a couple questions. So, each gonna have 2 electric meters,
Yes.
Correct.
water meters?
2.
So here's the problem. We have a water moratorium in the town of Dayton. I went to the water department. Will not give you a second line on the same property. So, you might want to consider doing a single water meter shared, just
Yep.
stuff I'm telling you. I went to do some research on another piece for me, because I have a piece I want to develop myself, and I did want to know about the water moratorium. So what he told me on my part is if I had a water line in there, I can't issue another one if there's 1 feet in that line.
If there's already one.
Could be an issue with that, okay?
Yeah, the other thing that we've done in the past is, certain towns only allow 1 water meter. So you get 1 water meter, you get 1 bill, but inside the house, we split it into 2 meters.
Whatever you gotta do, I want you to be aware of what you're up against with
Yeah.
that. So I had some paperwork here, and it's all over the place. So the leaching field's gonna be on the front left of the property, and you don't perceive having any ledge there? You think it's gonna be in-ground, or you think it's gonna be a raised structure out there?
We're looking to have it all in ground right now, because the water table that we saw was about, 84 inches. That's out there?
And you said it's a 2.5 story? Last meeting?
Yeah.
Is that still what we have going on right now?
Essentially, we're gonna do the same exact thing. Might be a little bit change up in the window design and stuff like that, but. I think it's 2-story.
Yeah.
I think it's 2-story, but.
So you got 2 baths per apartment, is that what I'm seeing here? 2.5,
Should be 2.5. There's a powder room
Yeah.
downstairs.
yeah, it's 2.5.
Yeah, so 2.5 baths, and then, you got what, 3 bedrooms on the upstairs of each. So you got 6 bedrooms.
All right, so a couple things too, when I was there. We only got a 1-inch water feed going in. And let's say I'm taking are these showers or tubs?
Actually, it's gonna have a combination of both.
Shot one and one per apartment?
We're looking to upgrade if we got one line, we're gonna upgrade the line coming in.
Because you gotta maintain your volume control and all that stuff. We're gonna need, all that stuff's gonna have to be submitted with your application.
Yeah.
The reason why, I'm just letting you know, I got educated when I called today with what's going on with the water up there. All of these must have literature and also have the volume efficiency due to the water pressure in the area.
You said there's water issues in the area?
Yeah, there's water issues in the area, for pressure. So let's just say you're taking a shower, I come home from work, another guy's taking a shower, you come home, you take a shower, and somebody does the dishes. What the hell? They have a water pressure, because it's only 1-inch line.
I'm a licensed plumber too, so.
Just so you know, if
Yeah.
you can keep that factors that help you out going forward, if this was to go through, these are things that they're gonna want.
Might wanna do a reserve tank in there.
A booster or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll assess it.
Just keep that in the loop, because
Either
I was
way.
told about this, because when he ever said to me that I couldn't put a second line in, I'm like, okay, that's gonna be troublesome for me. So that's why I was following up, when I'm using you as an example now, you have one, it's gonna be the same.
We'll make
deal.
sure that we maintain the 2.5 gallons a minute out of the shower.
Yeah, because that's what he was saying, is it's just make sure the efficiency and the literature backs all your fixtures and for the flow. And obviously, if you've ran into this in the past, you're gonna have one water line going in, 1 meter, then you'll separate it on the other side of the wall. That's up to the tenants how they handle that. So, you gave me the topo. I walked you through those things that he asked me to make sure you guys knew about. So the other thing is, you mentioned to me you're gonna allow the water to run down the driveways and onto Route 44.
Only after a 100-year storm event.
Other than that, the swale of the driveway will go to the side.
Otherwise, it's contained on site.
And if that septic system shall be raised, what are you gonna do on the outside of the septic system where the water would run off? If it had to be
That's
raised.
usually, if it's risen, there's a berm around it so no water can get onto it, because I can't introduce
No,
more water.
more water, but I'm trying to figure out how you're gonna take the direction of the flow of the water away from the septic system and still maintain
Yeah,
that on the highway.
So when we do them, if we do a mounded, it'll come out like this, go down, meet your breakout, and then we do swales
Swale
around it.
outside the
Yeah.
area,
So
okay?
it almost creates a moat, if you will.
Fire department, this gave us okay on that. Alright, and that's a few things that I have at this moment. You guys wanna, anything else you wanna add to this before I open up to the public?
No, I'm still trying to understand this, the curbing. Now, the DOT's gonna do that?
The Mass Highway is gonna control our access point. There's no way of getting around it. Yeah, what they're gonna do is they're gonna look at the curb that's out there right now, and then actually it's large enough for what we're looking to do, so that's not gonna move. But we gotta go in and we gotta get a new curb cut permit showing the drive going to the back without that primary access point not moving at all. It's staying as is.
Okay.
Even though it's staying, and so you know, right now, Mass Highway is taking about 9 months to issue curb cuts. Normally, they take 1 month, but that's where they're at.
I'm having trouble. I'm looking at 5320, social, economic, or community needs which are served by this proposal. This proposal for the special permit to take a single family lot and put two families on it. And I don't, I'm trying to see how it would serve the social, economic, and community needs. To have
You s-
a
can you say that
duplex.
a little louder? Sorry.
There's a lot of housing complexes coming into Dayton. We have a lot of, I'm just wondering, if you're taking a single family lot, I'm just trying to understand this, and you're getting a special permit to put two families on a single family lot, how is that gonna serve the social, economic, or community needs?
Well, I think, you know, first is just the shortage of housing right now, you know,
There's a lot of,
yeah, I think that's number one. I think it's gonna be, I mean, you got two taxpayers now. I think it is two families, but it's really gonna be two homes, like two single-family, residents, different homeowners are gonna be living there, so that's gonna be split in two, you know, taxes for A, taxes for B. And also, I mean, I think we're, you know, removing a condemned property from, you know, the building department's list, the board of health's list, and helping in that way, you know, in order to, help the town of Dayton, in order to push more taxpayers and maybe get someone in here that can afford it. If that answers your question.
well, I don't know, do we have a housing shortage in Dayton?
Well, the whole state is under a housing crisis right now, a mandated one from the governor.
Because we have we just have a lot of building coming into Dayton. There's 3 subdivisions that I can think of. There's a couple hundred houses that are imminent in the next
Yeah, well,
several years.
right,
that-
they're imminent,
that-
but they may not be built either.
I do understand, true, but I'm wondering where, you're asking to change a single-family lot into 2 homes, that's as a special permit, and I'm not sold that it would serve the community.
Well, it's actually a business lot.
But you're
You could put a
changing the
business on
uses
that
now.
lot, you're changing it
You
into
took it from a
2
business, which was a
houses.
residential, so it is business.
I'm just having trouble,
Residential.
I'm struggling to see how it would serve Dayton.
Yeah, well, I think I think the simple answer is it's gonna be, you're creating 2 new taxpayers to the town of Dayton, and, you know, 2 new families, you know, in the housing shortage. I think that's the most cut and dry answer. Other than, also helping the town of Dayton get it off their condemned list and I mean, I'm sure you guys are paying like someone to, maintain and make sure the trash doesn't get thrown on the property and all that good stuff from the owners, cause the owners are they're not really relevant, right now. So, I think the town of Dayton's actually, has a hand in that as well. So, I think it's gonna kill a couple birds, with the condemned property, and being on the building department list, along with adding 2 taxpayers. Right now, there's no taxpayers, and and the property tax wouldn't even be paid if we didn't pay it. So, I think that there's 4 reasonable things that we're bringing to the table.
And
So,
there's
it'll probably be going into-
rats right now on the property as well.
It'd probably be going into tax foreclosure right now, if that was the case.
In my mind, I'm just, in my mind, all I can think is it's zoned for a single-family house or a business, and I'm just seeing 6 bedrooms and
Well,
3,
it's zoned for
6
business.
cars.
It's zoned for business, there is a single family home there now. That's 3 bedrooms, you know, so we're asking for a relief of 3 bedrooms, you know, and that's not saying that there's gonna be,
Actually, no, you're not looking for relief for 3 bedrooms at all. There's nothing to prevent the existing home from adding another 3 bedrooms and doing an upgrade to the system that's out there. So as far as the number of bedrooms goes, you can have 3, you can have 6, you can have 20, as long as the land supports it. So you're not looking for any type of relief on that. And as far as like the traffic and all that, if that house has 3 bedrooms and all of a sudden you have kids that come back, that move back in, and now you are creating more bedrooms, you could have more than what we're proposing, and the amount of vehicles going in and out would be greater as well.
But it would be a single-family home.
It would still be a single-family house,
So
but,
that's the word she's trying to get at.
yeah, but you could have 20 bedrooms
All right.
all on the property.
Let me ask you.
You all set?
Can I,
Yes, go ahead, John.
Alex, did you have more questions first?
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're saying these are gonna be single-family homes, two singles.
Correct.
But is it an HOA or not? And let me,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
It would be an HOA, correct, John?
So,
It will have to be, because if we only can have one water line, that has to get split.
well, I'm
yes.
thinking more than one water line. I'm thinking one water line for electric. Are you gonna have two separate lines, or you're gonna have a split line for
Two
electric
separate
meters?
That'll be 2 meters.
Okay, and then for the, there, you have other common areas, for example, that driveway before it splits.
Well, only, but that's controlled by Mass Highway on Mass Highway property. So the driveways, they're actually two independent, except for the apron.
Yeah, they have an easement
Yeah.
between the two.
Okay, all right. So, when you market these, are you gonna market it as two single-family homes, or are you gonna market it as an HOA?
It's gonna be marketed as two single-family homes with an HOA, correct? That's how
Yeah,
that's how
because
we do it.
they have to maintain the
So
water.
There has to be a master agreement, a mutual
So
agreement
that's
for
my
insurance.
question. Do you plan to have covenants and so forth as well that they have to agree to?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they have to, yeah.
Yeah. It outlines, it actually gets into all the specifics for the home ownership, what you can do, what you can't do. It gets into who's responsible for, you know, shoveling stairs and all the other stuff that goes with it. Then it'll get into the breakdown, because of the shared water line, that it'll be one common bill and is split according to the, in-house meter, if you will, each unit's meter at that point. If we didn't have to split the water line, it'd be a cleaner, and it'd be a very simple HOA.
When's the moratorium done, do you know?
I asked that because of my own, a couple could be up to 3 years.
I mean, you're looking, so even, I mean, this project possibly wouldn't even start for over a year. Like,
The
even
other
if-
option is wells.
Yeah, so like,
That's what I was told.
I mean, I think that, there's a very good chance that we may not be able to do an HOA. Like, I think the goal would not to be, have an HOA, so, whatever we have to do when it comes to like, the time to actually put like boots on the ground and permitting, I think that would be the goal. But I think we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, to get rid of the HOA, then we would have to have wells on the property instead of the water. I mean, the land is large enough to actually put 2 wells in the back.
Right. Now, we have someone that was in a butter that had a well.
Yeah.
And is there a law how close they can be together, near each other? Because I don't want to dry out either.
Not the wells, as long as you're not any closer than 100 feet with your septic system to the well.
Okay. So obviously the wells would be going towards the back.
Right.
And I'm not sure where that abutter lives, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Can you all set?
I mean, I'll say one last thing. I mean, I think that, to touch on what you said, Alice, is, what was I gonna get at here? I mean, these aren't, you know, God forbid if this doesn't work out, you know, I think that if, for whatever reason, someone comes in and does buy this and does do a single-family home, if they can get away with it, which I don't think it's safe, then I think, to be honest with you, if I was a citizen of North Dayton, then I would rather have something like this. I mean, this is still considered, I guess, like, you know, I think you're just gonna have a better citizen of Dayton when you put something like that, even though this is technically 2 homes, like a blue-collar worker is gonna buy this, you know what I mean? Someone that's actually working, that's gonna, help, be more marketable to the town of Dayton versus someone that buys $180,000 house and that is, you know, it's a party house or whatever the case is. I mean, the house is just it's just not marketable house right now, as you guys know.
Let me ask you a question, and I may need Marguerite to weigh in on this question, which is, if we grant your ask,
Yep.
I'm assuming I don't know if you purchased the property since last month or not, or you're still waiting on a decision here. But if you grant your ask, and because there are still a number of barriers or hurdles, whatever way you want to put it, that you gentlemen have to go through with other departments in town, and the plus DOT and so forth. If for any reason the town ultimately turns you down, and in the end, you've already got the property, you've closed on it, otherwise you're not gonna keep going, I assume. If the town turns you down, then we're still left in a position potentially where now you may be the owners, but we still have a piece of property that potentially is gonna have to be condemned. So my question is, if we put a contingency in here that specifically stated that if, after all of your applications are exhausted and potential appeals are exhausted, you're responsible for the demolishing and removal of the current structure, would you accept that?
Absolutely, I think that's fair.
You would or would not?
I would, yes.
I don't know if Marguerite heard my question. And if we're able to put anything in there as a contingent.
As like a
Or did we lose Marguerite?
condition.
I don't think Marguerite,
Yeah, I think she heard.
I think she has to set her up, I'm pretty sure.
I heard the question, I just didn't fully hear what the condition was.
The condition was, if is a condition, the town of Dayton, in the end, if they don't get the permit to build, but they're the owner, they've taken ownership of the property in the interim, which is what we've all been told up to this point. If the permit is ultimately not granted after appeals are exhausted, potential appeals are exhausted, or timeframes expire, can we have a contingency that requires them to be responsible for the demolishing of the current structure? Because otherwise, the town is still gonna have to then go back and work with these gentlemen for potential non-payment of taxes or having the structure demolished. So could we put a contingency that would require them to just demolish the old structure and remove it, assuming they're not able to build?
I mean, typically your conditions need to be tied to the special permit, and so this is a special permit for use. We're not able to use the property in that way. Obviously, they would have to demolish the current structure to build anything more on that development, so you could do a condition that says prior to application for a building permit, they have to demolish, or prior to a certain amount of time. You could think about a condition that says, on X day, like, so within 90 days of this permit becoming final, that they would demolish. And you could reach out an agreement with the developer around something like that, but I would come up with either a time frame that is tied to prior to the building permit, or a set amount of time after issuance of this permit, so that it's clear that it's tied to the permit.
So we could potentially ask, as a condition, that they demolish the existing structure X number of days, for example, that's 30 days, 60 days, whatever, prior to the application for building permit.
Well, I wouldn't say that amount of time prior to application for a building permit, because that might hold them up from applying for a building permit. I would say, if you're gonna put a date limit on, I would do it from X amount of time from issuance, from this permit becoming final. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's tied to other permits they need, but if you're going to try to tie this to prior to applying for a building permit, I would simply say prior to applying for a building permit. The existing structure shall be demolished. But I just don't think it's fair to hold up their building permit application by a certain amount of time. I do think that you could set a time limit, and if you did, it would have to be reasonable. I mean, you have to think about how long it would take to get the demolition permit issued and then to actually undertake the work. So, I would suggest it be somewhere in the vicinity of 90 to 120 days from the permit becoming final, the special permit, the zoning relief becoming final. Or prior to application for a building permit.
Okay.
I would suggest you do it one of those two ways.
Would you gentlemen agree to something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually worked on other cases where the language that was put in was that, prior to submission for a building permit, the existing structure be raised, and that was it. So that way, what happens is, after the approval, after the recordings, and before he can submit for a building permit, the structure has to be raised.
I think I would rather, and I know Marguerite wants to weigh in, I would rather, hearing what Marguerite said, make it a condition for X number of days after the special permit is granted, rather than the building permit down the road, because if you find out you can't get a building permit, I would still want to know that this was demolished.
Yeah, I'm good with it, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I just think that, I'm with Marguerite. I think we just need to have the right timing down. I think 120 days is fair, at least for us, going into, I mean, we're in the holiday season, then we'll get back to it in January, and then there's a lot of paperwork and stuff like that that goes involved with it, so, I think 120 days is attainable to get the demolition permit, and to get everybody in order.
I have another question. Can you show me where the driveway is now on this on this drawing? The existing driveway? Location of the hydrant, I think I see it, but I think that little dot in that red is the hydrant. I can't make it out, it's kind of blurry.
Yeah, I don't know if the driveway is actually, so the garage is right here, so the driveway entrance is right here. Right where I put those two arcs.
Okay, so you're saying right now you have a 40-foot wide curb cut?
It's almost 40 feet. You go out there and you look at it, 'cause they paved a stretch up to the hydrant. So it's a huge opening right now.
Okay. Marguerite, can I follow up on the covenant, how that would work on a HOA with 2 units sharing the same water meter? And how would the HOA be set up, and who would have to be responsible for that?
So I mean, that's gonna be dependent on how we.
Can she speak up?
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
So, you know, I think that's really within whatever discretion the developer has. I mean, they have two families, so they're going to either decide to create a condominium development, or they're gonna create single-family homes with some sort of shared common space agreement. But that's really on them as they decide to market this. You're approving just the use of this as a 2-family dwelling, that's all.
Yeah, we just ran into stuff on other developers with the covenant and not being withheld, even though the conditions weren't read to us. Like, for example, a 40B project, that covenant's large. HOAs are large. Those
Right.
things like that, so, and they weren't, they weren't following up with it, and now the developer and the owners are up in arms with it, and I wanted to make sure that was cleared up before we go any further with that.
But again, and even with the 40B development, in which the zoning board has more legal oversight,
Alright, so
you know, the
contractor-
HOA issue is not really within the purview of the zoning board, except to the extent that the HOA is adhering to the conditions that you set within that 40B permit. So the same applies here. It's really not the zoning, it's a private matter between the homeowners. Whether it's a condominium that they create, those are 2 condominium units of shared ownership, or they're separate, some other type of shared ownership structure, but that is private. That has nothing to do with
Okay.
the town.
I
And
just didn't
would-
want to lose the covenant while we were talking about it, because I just ran into a big deal on another matter just recently. Okay.
Yeah,
Would it help if we submitted like a draft for your review?
Well, it's like she says, really not our thing, but right now, there's a bunch of people mad at somebody that's doing something, and the covenant's not being withheld. I just don't want that to become an issue, so I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, 'cause, normally, so you know, when we do these, we have a common, room that would be just for the water meter that, everybody has access to. So that would be the, common space.
All right, and so we're thinking right now you have a 40-foot curb cut.
It's
That's what we're saying.
very close to, 40 feet, yes.
And we're not relocating it due to mass housing, so you're not gonna be looking for relief from the highway department now?
What they're gonna do is they're probably gonna tell us to shrink it down some, so
Okay.
whatever they tell us is gonna be our guideline. It's probably gonna end up being about closer to, 36 feet an opening,
Yeah, you're gonna need at least 32.
yeah, so, that's what I'm, kinda hearing from Mass Highway.
All right. So, Marguerite, you have anything that you've heard that you would like to respond on from the applicant?
So the only question I had to do with something raised by the building inspector around the septic system. And it's probably just because I haven't been a part of the prior hearings. You understand that there'll be need to increase the size of the septic system, is that right?
Yeah, we're actually gonna do a brand new one.
Okay, and so obviously, any and all building, Board of Health permits will be obtained before you,
Yes,
I don't think that would.
yep.
That was the only thing I had based on what I observed for tonight's meeting.
All right, you wanna open up the public, see what anybody has to say? So we've read everything into the record that we have. So, anybody here in this matter? State your name, please.
Chestnut Street,
We need you to.
What number Chestnut Street?
229. This project going forward as a whole, I know the gentleman last night, Mr. Mark, stated that he wouldn't build any of these on Main Street, but that doesn't stop any other developers from coming to town. This will fundamentally change how this town's gonna look. Anyone that's gonna put a single-family house for a developer, it's gonna go right to duplexes. In the next 6 months, you'll have 30, 40 of these in front of you for special permits. I don't see that stopping. I know they're just trying to get one house on that lot, so they get their project done so they can make some money on it. But I just don't see that changing that at all. That's gonna fundamentally change this town drastically.
Have you seen the picture of the style homes he's trying to put on the actual property?
From a distance,
Would you like to see it?
yes, please. Thank you. That's a very nice looking structure for talking.
This is pretty much what we have going on for, so,
See, they put the leaching field right down by the street. But I thought your overflow was gonna go down by the street to be a swale.
No, we're actually containing all the water on the lot.
And this is the existing house here.
That's the one that's gonna get raised.
How many feet back from this house to this, where the new structure is gonna be, is that? Is that like 30 feet?
No, it's closer to, 40 feet from the,
So from the back of the house to there is about 40 feet
Yeah,
back?
you gotta remember that house is, less than 8 feet off of the street line.
Yeah. So the existing garage is gonna be kind of over where that septic system is now?
No.
Kind of in the driveway?
No, the garage is sitting right in front of those units.
So it's sitting right in front of the driveway. It's kind of in line with the house when you look at it.
No, actually, it's on the back
It's-
side.
Yeah, it's back a little bit. So from the back of the house, it's gonna be about 40 foot out, these two houses are gonna be
More or
set.
less at an angle, yeah.
going with the same location as the garages,
On
right?
the, just off on the back side of it,
It's
yes.
just gonna be on behind, how many feet behind the garage is that gonna sit then, the existing garage?
The garage is gonna be gone, so
Yeah, but
it's irrelevant.
Just to get a basis on that.
It's basically, at the back end of the garage. The garage is about, 22 feet in length.
Did you guys do a perk test since you were here last time?
We still have to do one with the Board of Health.
Cause there's a lot of ledge going up in this area here. I don't think you really did very well job of that. that ledge aspect of that. This is, I know they asked on dates, I took the pictures, this is the current magazine, there's a picture where I took it on scene, so I know the questions were asked on that. There's also some of these photos that I had that I presented last month. I took them off the internet, so I went and pulled those ads, and I put them in here with the dates on the ads, so you know that I just wasn't plagiarizing or trespassing, as somebody eloquently said.
What are we looking at here?
Well, that's just showing that magazine I just gave you, showing the date on it, so you know when I took the photos, it's current, it's not something from 10 years ago. That garage is sitting back quite a way, and it's also sitting down quite a bit. If you look where the actual backyard of that house is, it goes up on Lingle, the garage is down in the hole.
Well, what's your concern?
Well, you guys are saying that this house isn't gonna be much higher than the other one. From the street, there's a good elevation height difference.
I mean, we went over the elevations prior. I
We
mean,
already went through the, topo.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the measurements add up, no?
Maybe you should hire an engineer or an architect and have them take a peek at it and,
Well, you're saying from the street level to the back of the shop is only 3 foot difference? Or
That's not what I said.
we just talked about this.
how many feet?
I
difference?
said the proposed grading will be 3 feet.
I just don't see that. The amount of ledge that's in that backyard is pretty crazy too.
We did everything we could to address the ledge, and I mean,
I also spoke to Mrs. Hofstein. She asked me to, let you know she was totally opposed against any kind of blasting on that property. She does have a well on her property. Someone asked last month if she had a well. She does have a well. A lot of these photos that I took today, I actually walked on her land. She gave permission to do so, to shoot the photos. She's an older lady, so she didn't want to come up to be here.
did she write another letter?
She did not write another letter. Yes,
Did she write another letter?
she did not write another letter.
Because we read her letter last time we were here.
Yeah.
And we said that we were gonna take everything into account when performing any construction, proposed construction on the property. She didn't mention a well in her last letter either.
No, I can have her, I can ask her to write another one and send it in if you'd like.
I mean, if it does get approved, then we can have a conversation with her. I don't mind going to talk to her.
This
to
right
see
here,
what she's
in
on.
this photo here, when you're facing it, you see that yellow milk crate, that's on top of big large rock croaking rocks. Behind that barn right there, the old garage, you see outcropping of rocks there, guys? You take a look at that. There's a lot of different photos I just shot from Mrs. Hofstein's land. But that lot clearly goes up quite a bit from the back of that. I'll leave these with you guys to look through. There should be some, definite consideration of how that's gonna alter this town.
Vice Chairman, are those even submissible, being not timestamped or anything like that?
He did bring it as a timestamp,
On just that one, correct?
showing that he was there that day doing these photos. I mean, that's up to you guys, how if you wanna go that route.
I mean, there's not really much that we can.
Continue it and have him timestamp every one.
It doesn't, I mean, I don't know really what you're trying to get at. Well, I just don't know really what you're trying to get at. What are you asking us to do?
Couple things we're getting at is, one is there's ledge. That whole backyard, when you look across there, you can see outcropping of ledge poking out through the ground, where you're proposing to put the house. So I just don't see that going down. I see you actually have to fill above that ledge. What are you gonna be near blasting for hammers? One is to get that ledge out.
We had a licensed construction supervisor with us. We had test pits done. I've hired an engineer. We have an architect. We have an architect. I think we've done everything. We have letters. We've done everything we can to assure all the neighbors.
There's no
and
test pits on that property.
There's no formal test pits.
Yeah.
We just said that. We'll have a Board of Health,
So I guess you really need to get your test pits done in order before you can go ahead with this.
That would be the next step, is to go to the Board of Health.
we can't even,
Okay.
we have to go through all the board approval processes to get any type of construction or anything like that.
I know she's very concerned about that.
Well, we can assure you that from all the data we have, that there's gonna be no blasting. And I think that and you guys
Well,
have
we're
voted on
not
that?
proposing any anyway. And you gotta remember that this is a garage under, so it's a slab on grade. So we're not looking to do a 8-foot foundation.
So the roof height of this structure is gonna be more higher than the existing roof height of the house that's there now.
No, it's actually gonna be lower than the house that's there now. The house that's there now is up on a hill.
All right, anything else?
Well, you don't see that going down the hole there. I think there should be some stipulations, one, definitely no blasting of any type at all, if this is go forward. We should also do a stipulation, maybe just have one deed for the property. The Lopes property, I know they referenced that a few times, that property was done for family on one deed.
Yep.
Yeah, actually with these, it'd be only one deed.
For the whole property.
Two properties, two separate deeds.
No. Single property.
You're gonna sell it to like you, and then he's gonna move in and rent from you?
This becomes almost like a condo. You have one deed for the property, and then you have a unit on that property,
Unit numbers.
unit numbers.
We don't want condos, is that correct? We're not allowed that? This project's gonna change the diameter of this town so drastically.
I mean, in which way?
You're gonna have, as a developer, you're gonna come in, if you know you can put duplexes in, you're gonna put duplexes everywhere. You're not, no
I
one's
mean,
gonna-
someone can come in here and do 40B and throw 20 units on it too. You know, anybody can do anything they want, but when it comes to stuff like that, I think we're actually proposing suitable housing for the town of Dayton. I mean, it's a modern farmhouse look, 2 families that are gonna be able to move into this home and add to the town versus the thing being filled with, you know, maybe bums or being condemned for the next 5 years or going to foreclosure. So, I mean, I think you're concerned about being a neighbor of a new home going up. To be honest with you, I'd be more concerned about the house that's there now than what we're building, to be honest with you. So, I mean,
Well, I think last time you stayed, you're from town, so you know how the dynamic of this town, it's a very small town, very seldom people move this town because they don't want to grow up like a town.
and if this was in the heart of Dayton, I don't think this would be proposed. I just don't agree.
Yeah, I think
so.
What's that?
you're not doing that because you appreciate what the town is. If the next developer comes and sees if he did it, he's not gonna worry about it. He's gonna see his lot and say, hey, I got that lot, I want to put a duplex there.
That's what these boards are for, to make those decisions. I think.
All right, we got enough, we got to understand, what you're stating, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanna go to the next abutter, so, are you opposed to having these put into the record? These pictures?
Is that a want ad?
Well, it's showing you the
Oh.
date,
I haven't seen the want ad in,
I know, I'm showing you a date,
yeah.
Just so you know, I got that on 44 at the golf gas station.
okay?
They do pass them out there.
So these will be into the record for the, and, Mr. Thibodeau, so I take it you're against,
I have against a duplex on that
against the
property. A
duplex?
single family, I have no problem with. Keeping with 3-bedroom unit.
Okay, anyone else?
Bill Mariano,
What's your house number, Bill?
205 Chestnut,
I'm sorry, one more time?
205 Chestnut. I have no real reservations other than blasting. And if there's gonna be more wells now, that's a new wrinkle that gets me a little worried, 'cause even though I'm more than 100 feet away, with my well, it just, the more wells that go into the ground, obviously, the less water there is for the people that are, you know, pulling off the aquifer. And the flow rate's not that strong where I am, so it could reduce it. If it reduces it, it might put me under, you know, the viable rate.
On this this picture here that he sent us, whereabouts you live? In conjunction to where the construction's going. Mine are a little thick. So, he's here. here, and then these are the houses in the back, so he's up front right here. Right here.
100 feet.
This is his two pieces, the garage and the house. This is Chestnut Street. There's 3 houses here, and it goes down further.
My well's right in here.
Right there, let me see.
We can make it a condition as well, Bill, to keep it like 100, 150 feet away, so it doesn't affect it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be 150 feet away.
Yeah, that's out of Board of Health code, so.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
Just don't wanna dry them out.
Yeah.
It's just that the more you put in the ground,
Well, I mean,
there's only so much nowadays, you know?
Agreed.
And I just
if
put
that
that well
was
in.
stated,
When I had to go down
we'll end
either
up doing the water.
260 something or 380 something. To be able to get enough water.
Would you be, we could probably make it a condition to, do town water. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't do town water.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're only gonna be 1 meter, and that's all right, cause the, splitting on the inside, you can split it off afterwards. So
Well,
we'll only
that's
have 1
between you
meter.
and town,
Yeah,
but
so,
again, my fear is the blasting and running out of
Blasting.
water, especially after I just put it in.
Sure.
I'm sorry, did you say runoff of water? You were concerned about the runoff of water?
Running out.
Running, oh, okay, thank you.
And Bill, are you opposed or?
I'm opposed, yeah. I'm opposed for the same reasons. The moment you put duplexes in, it's gonna open up the town for duplexes. And I've got a lot of land, and it would behoove me to put duplexes in all of them, quite honestly.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Yeah, you remember, you get tax revenue coming in from that property. Each child goes to school, you get 4 kids there, that's $4,000.
You guys got anything else you wanna add?
I'll wait till you close the public, then I'll make my comment.
Marguerite, is there anything you'd like to add after listening to the abutters or anything of that concern? Does everything sound okay to you?
Yeah, I think that I've heard 2 conditions tonight, so I would suggest if you're planning on moving forward with a vote tonight, you just confirm what the conditions are that have been discussed.
Okay. Conditions.
So when was the,
All right, so we're gonna close the public input at this point in time. Any members of the board open for discussion?
sure, I'll give my input for better or worse.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, did we close the public?
Yes, we did. We closed the public input.
We need a motion.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to close the public hearing.
I second that. At least Swenson.
public input, not here.
All right, public
Yeah,
input.
I'm sorry,
I
public
second the
input.
Okay. Seconded, Elise?
Sorry, could you tell me who the voting members are?
Elise, David, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. So now do I have any members that would like to add any input before we decide what we'd like to do?
Now I'll give you my input.
Okay.
My input is a couple of things. One is that I think when the motion is made by whoever makes it, there should be 2 conditions. One of the conditions being that the current structure is leveled and fully removed no more than 120 days after the zoning board special permit becomes
So once you can file for a demo permit.
official, I'll put it that way. Becomes official, I don't know the term I'm looking for. The second one would be that, actually, I'm gonna have 3. The second condition would be that if they do need to drill a well, that well be no less than 150 feet.
Well, that's already in our laws.
Is it? Okay, I wasn't sure.
100 or 150? I think it's 150.
I thought
But
it
we'll
was,
just do it 150, we'll say.
I would put it as 150, just to have it there. And the third condition, which I know you gentlemen did indicate at our prior conversation last week you would do anyway, but that you contact and work with any neighbors, any of your abutters, if there's a potential for blasting via certified mail, in an attempt not just to notify them, but to mitigate any potential damage that could result from any blasting. Take responsibility for any damage that could be the result of blasting.
So these are conditions.
These are three conditions.
Those are your conditions.
Those would be my conditions, but I'm not a voting member. Having said that,
So we go on the well, then we.
having said that, I think, and I hear the conversation about duplexes and so forth as well, but somewhat separately, I am reminded that there are other developments in town, if they are eventually approved, for example, Strawberry Fields, which has row houses and some duplex.
Those are
type-
40Bs though, Jonathan.
But they're not, every unit is not, that's all I'm saying. The design that was submitted, there are 40B units, it's a 40B development, but the design is not strictly single-family homes. The design includes other styles of home, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
The other part of this is that when you look at some of the future development of the town and the Serpide reports that are looking at changing perhaps some of the ways some of our areas of town are defined as commercial or residential into more mixed use for residential and commercial, or some of the areas that we have in town in North Dayton, for example, you know, a couple of potential large parcels where there's some buildings that could be condemned and eventually sold off. Those areas, again, could be restructured through the zoning process to mixed use. So we're getting into the question of if you have mixed use, you could have commercial space and you could have apartments, or you
Yeah,
could have.
not based though. This particular is not mixed use. This was business to residential.
I know, I
It
understand.
hasn't lost its usage.
It's not the same. I guess what I'm saying
They're
is,
trying to do conditions and now you're bringing in more wording.
all I'm saying is that I think the argument that we don't want duplexes in town, and I understand where people are coming from and how that, you know, there's people look at it certain ways. Whether you look at it as duplexes or a two-family or two single families, structures like this, I think in many ways for a lot of developers are gonna become the way they wanna go in the future. And I don't know that we can avoid that necessarily. I'm not saying that's the perfect solution to what a lot of people want, but I don't know that we can avoid it. I think it's irrelevant down the road. Or it becomes relevant to bringing in more business and more community into the town. That's all.
Dave, you have anything?
I'd like to make a motion.
Hold on one second. Elise, do you have anything? No. Okay, well, I'd like to say a couple concerns
go right
before
ahead.
we make a motion. I have a concern, a couple of things for me is the public safety. A lot of your stuff you brought in has been addressed. Public safety of this corner and where this road is, if we're not changing location of this driveway, there has been, that I know of since I've been driving, 4 fatalities on that little crest. One of them was actually pulling into a driveway next to it, and it was a container being towed, flipped over and crushed another lady pulling into that particular driveway. I'm not saying that's your fault or anything like this. So I have a concern where the location of the driveway is existing for public safety. Talked to you about the water. You guys are willing to do whatever it takes with the water. I just wanted to be straight with you on that. My concern is the location of the driveway. So if there was to be a condition from me on this particular thing, I think Mass DOT would have to do a traffic study on the location of the driveway, where if the driveway is sufficient to stay where it's located to add the volume of another 3 bedrooms, which is another 3 vehicles, out of that, exiting and entering out of that driveway. God forbid, something should happen. I know when you guys are gonna be working there, you pull out, you're gonna be like, oh shit, get the hell out of the way, because it is a dangerous corner. So that is,
Let's move it
That-
to our southwesterly corner, where they may make us push it down more because.
And
of
as
the,
long as it doesn't
electric-
interfere with your septic system and your tank and stuff. So that is a concern for me. But I'm up to suggestions. Anybody else
I'm
feels
okay
the
with that.
same?
I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I'm okay with
It's
that.
just a dangerous corner right there, because it's a crest and it's a corner.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's totally fair.
And it's four conditions now, right? Potentially.
Good. That's, okay. Marguerite, do you have anything that you would like to add to this before Dave says he was ready to vote on this?
No, so I guess I just would make it clear what your conditions are. If you're going to be, I don't know what your vote is, but if you are considering a vote of approval with conditions, that you just want to be clear what those conditions are.
So Dave,
I, David Phillips, would like to make a motion to deny the special permit for address 2098 Winthrop Street, Dayton, Mass.
Is there a second?
Second?
Greg Logan, I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I just haven't seen any reason to, for the benefit of Dayton, to take a single house lot and put two houses on it. It's
That's your guys' choice. No hard feelings. I mean, if someone comes in and does something else, it's under, that's, you know, it is what it is. You know?
Thank you, guys.
So, thanks.
All right.
Okay. So, where is the paperwork? Okay. Review, discuss, act, Stonegate Landing LLC, westerly side of Somerset Ave, map 9, status update of phase 1. Is Mr. Fedorov on the line? I see you.
He needs to unmute himself.
You gotta unmute yourself.
Richard, you gotta unmute. There you go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, gentlemen, ladies. Nice to see you again.
You too. Okay, so what do you have to say going on, Mr. Fedorov? We have anything to read in to the record today?
Would you like me? I'm sorry, Richard, would you like me to read your letter into record, or do you just want to speak?
Do you want to read it in, Richard, or do you want, yeah? Gary, to read it in.
I'll read it into record.
Okay, we'll get that for you.
So this was a letter from Richard Fedorov of Stonegate Landing dated December 18, 2023, directed to Chairman Karen and the Zoning Board of Appeals regarding the status update. And it has been made clear that most issues raised by the homeowners are between the HOA and Stonegate Landing LLC and not the purview of the board. I would like to focus my attention and work on the board on completing the roadway and infrastructure in Phase A. That is, I believe, the number one issue for the HOA as well. We started this process in the spring on July 6, 2023. I met with Shaheen Green International and Tom Ferry at Stonegate Landing to map the path forward. It was an excellent meeting, and Mr. Shaheen told me that he would email a proposal or contract based on conversations on site for my signature and required deposit and get to work. That email never came, and subsequently the town hired another engineering company. I would like to kickstart that process. I believe that starts with the ZBA. I have made some progress with the HOA, but finishing Phase A takes precedent. Issues with the HOA, including HOA fees, are complicated and will take time. Rest assured that snow plowing, sanding, maintenance of the sewer pump, station and general maintenance will continue, and the responsible party will inevitably be made accountable. Best regards, Richard Fedorov, Manager.
So, Mr. Fedorov, do you have anything to add or to that today, or is that pretty much it?
Say that one more time. I gave
So-
you
Kerry just read in your letter to the board in regards to where we stood with the engineering. There's nothing else to add at this time, right?
He's having
I'm sorry.
No.
Richard, can you hear me better than you can hear the board?
Bobby, honestly, going back.
So I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing the board.
Okay.
Okay,
And it's very echoey, so I'm not sure if it's easier for Richard to hear me.
I now see your face and.
Okay. Can you hear me better than you can hear the board? Because I'm having some troubles understanding what the board is saying. It echoes a lot.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, so maybe I could repeat what I'm hearing the board say, and Greg, you can confirm.
Yes.
That would be terrific.
Sure, so I think what the board was asking you, they had just read your letter into the record, and they wanted to know if you wanted to add anything more from beyond what you presented in your letter to the board tonight.
Well, I think that, when we first started hearing back in March, the big concern that the homeowners had in the town is that I was, looking to sell the lots in Phase B, and, once I got that money, I might just leave town. But I know that's not the case, okay? I want to get that done. The issues revolving around the HOA are complicated. I'm getting some support, but a lot of people who just aren't replying. But I think, for me to exit Stellgate with the road complete and satisfy the town to be able to petition to have it accepted, I want to go down that path. And I will resolve the issues with the HOA, and probably, not sure how, but they have obligations. They don't think they have, and I will at some point have to contact an attorney and see the best way to go forward.
Richard, we're not talking about the HOA. That's nothing to do with the ZBA. What we're trying to find out is where you stand with the engineering.
Well, with the engineering, I don't even know who boy, I get everything wrong, don't I? I learned that I expected a contract and I was gonna get a deposit to Green International, and then, for whatever reasons, they're no longer the town engineers, and I don't have anyone to call or contact, or I don't know who the town engineers now. And I just want to open the door and start talking to people.
All right, I have Kerry. She's at the podium. She's going to speak on behalf of the letter from the engineering.
Okay.
So I've been able to obtain all the documents, and I actually explained the situation to our new peer review engineer, which is Jim Reardon of Weston and Sampson. I provided a bunch of documents, or I provided a history of what was going on, and he said he'd be happy to provide a scope of services, but he requested some additional information, which I was able to comprise, and I did provide it to him this morning. He said he's gonna have the scope of services ready in time for our next meeting, so as soon as I get it, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah, so I could have some time with it too, Larry, no, whatever they send you, I could copy it and look at it, and I don't know if I call them direct or I work through you guys, but either way, the last time I was out there with Shaheen, the conversation was, how many borings we need to do in the road to determine the basis hard, and multiple other things, which I think the new engineer will want to do too, and then get it going.
Correct, so what I'll do is, typically the way this is set up now with the new peer review engineer is the engineer just wants to deal with the town during conversations and stuff, but he does make exceptions here and there, so I'm gonna have a lengthy discussion with him when we have our next meeting, which we usually meet every week, and explain to him that this scenario is a little bit different, because it's for you at the request of the town, just to explain that, I guess. So I will explain that to him and ask him the best route on conversations and emails, communication. And once I get that solidified as well, I'll be sure to let everyone know.
Okay?
So Carrie, I know the usual thing is that my engineer would go out and put, look and let you guys know what they thought should happen, and then the review engineer would come out and review that. And, there's so many different issues with Stonegate. But, when you talked to Gene, we agreed that, okay, let me start with him, and then instead of me paying for two engineers, and I want to be flexible, and I want to be realistic, but it just really keeps the costs down, sometimes two engineers, make it harder to get the job done, that's all, so. And if we can do that, that'd be fabulous, and it would make it better to me, and I think all the town really wants to see it completed.
Correct.
Okay, I'm on board for all of that. Okay,
Thank you.
good. Anything else you need?
How are we making out with the speed bumps?
With what, sir?
Speed humps that you installed that they would last to have them removed? Your last meeting, you said you were gonna take out the speed humps.
I honestly can't understand the question.
The question was, how are you making out with the speed humps that you had indicated you would be removing?
They were taken out 3 days after the last meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all done, and what, I had a little bit of good news too. Those are three, they had 9 or 11 spikes in them, and, I, with the meeting, I said I'd get it done within a week, and, the following Monday morning, I showed up, and the speed bumps were professionally removed, set on the side of the road, in good shape, and I just picked them up and took them back to my forward pump station. So whoever did the job, they didn't destroy it, they did it professionally, and I thought that was a little bit of a gift.
Nice.
Yeah, we are ready for the snow season. The bumps are out of the way. The guy's been doing now for 6-7 years is on board, and I want to stay ahead of all of that. And like I say, if I paid the guy to take them out, it would have cost me at least $200. So I made $200, and there was no problem whatsoever with this quality of work. Whoever it was.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fedorov.
Okay, everybody have a nice Christmas, nice holiday, and Hanukkah, wherever you go, and the meeting in January, I certainly will attend that, and Terry, if you get any information, you copy me on, and the more we talk, moving more forward, and it's time for me to finish building and get the project done, and then figure out what to do with Phase B.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Open up to public input. No public input. Any correspondence?
I do not have any.
None to address. Approve the minutes from November 28, 2023.
Motion to approve minutes from November 28th, 2023.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Meeting adjourned.
Motion,
Adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn. How about that?
Wait a minute,
Oh.
did you have a decision, or no?
we did, but we don't do the, decision signings in regular meetings.
Sorry.
But,
You see through the end, you wanna.
Hey,
I
no,
think-
Have a Merry Christmas.
Wait.
I'm not sure we officially closed the public hearing. I know you closed the public input, but I
Said
don't think you
public
closed the
hearing, yeah.
public hearing
So we
on
should
Mark
close-
Mason.
We should close public hearing then.
Correct.
I make a motion to close the public hearing
Second.
for Mark Mason, 2098 Winter Street.
Second.
Second, anybody, all in favor? All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
What do you guys,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
you too.